"You're not welcome this Easter," my mom whispered, so I canceled the $9,800 payment and shut off their power, water, and internet. "Don't come in." Yeah, those were the first words my mom said when she opened the door. No hug, no smile, not even a happy Easter, honey. Just 3 flat, quiet words that felt like a punch to the gut. So there I was, standing awkwardly on the porch, holding a bottle of wine in one hand and a basket full of handmade chocolate eggs in the other. I'd even put on that light blue shirt she used to love, the one she always said made my eyes pop. She used to say that with so much pride. But now? She wouldn't even meet my eyes. I blinked, trying to process what was happening. "You're kidding, right?" I asked. My mom just glanced behind her and then stepped outside, closing the door behind her just enough to leave a tiny crack, like I was some kind of threat. "It's better if you didn't come in today," she whispered, and the air around me went icy cold. "I'd just driven 3 hours to be there, for crying out loud." "I know," she said, her voice still all hushed, "but things are tense and Alia said she wouldn't come if you were here." "Of course. Olivia." I should have known she was behind this. She always was. I could hear laughter from inside, the clinking of wine glasses, probably Uncle James, chuckling and toasting to real family being together. Then I heard her, "Olivia," loud and sugary sweet, "honestly, this year feels so peaceful. No negativity, no drama." I wanted to scream but instead, I just smiled one of those calm, knowing smiles. You know, the kind that says, you have no idea what's coming. So, I pulled out my phone and said, "Fine, enjoy your peaceful Easter. But don't expect my $9,800 anymore." The look on my mom's face shifted, she seemed confused. "What money?" she asked slowly. I looked her dead in the eye. "The electricity, the water, the internet, the bills I've been covering every month for this house. Those services you said you needed, just until Dad got back on his feet? Yeah, they're in my name, and I just shut them off." Her mouth fell open, then snapped shut as she turned pale. "You didn't tell me." "You didn't." I tilted my phone toward her. "See this app?" One tap. I pressed my thumb against the screen. Lights out. From inside, Olivia started shouting, "The Wi-Fi just cut off." "What was that?" Mom lunged for the phone, but I stepped back. "Happy Easter," I said, and then I turned and walked back to my car. No one followed. No one apologized. As I got behind the wheel, I saw Olivia appear in the doorway, behind my mom, her face all red and her phone held high. "Are you crazy?" "We were about to have lunch," she yelled. I rolled down the window and called back, "Call your real family. Maybe they'll pay the bills next month." And then I drove away, no guilt, no second thoughts. That was the moment I stopped being their personal utility company and became the ghost they couldn't exploit anymore. I used to tell myself I was helping, that I was the responsible one, that family meant sacrifice. I told myself a lot of things, like when my dad called me in the middle of a meeting. "Power's getting shut off," he said bluntly. "What, again?" I whispered, stepping out into the hallway. "Just for a couple days," he said. "If you can cover it, I'll send it back by Friday." He never did, but I paid anyway, like always. My family has a long history of taking without asking, and me? I have a long history of letting them. When Dad lost his job 3 years ago, I stepped in to help with the utilities. When Mom needed a dental procedure that wasn't urgent but made her insecure, I covered it. When Olivia couldn't afford to renew her car lease, I co-signed the new one and paid the first 6 months. At first, it felt good. I was the dependable one, the one who had it all together. But slowly, that admiration turned into expectation, then entitlement, then disdain. "You're so lucky you don't have kids," Olivia would say at dinner. "All your money is just yours, that must be nice." "You mean the money I used to pay your bills?" I replied once. "Oh, please," she scoffed, "don't act like it's charity. You like feeling superior." Mom chimed in, "She didn't mean it like that." "No, I meant exactly that," Olivia said, smirking. "You think we should bow down because you pay a couple bills?" "A couple bills? Let's talk about a couple bills. Water, $83 per month. Electricity, $210 per month. Internet, $89 per month. Streaming services, mobile plans, random Amazon orders." I stopped counting. I checked my bank app last month and realized I'd sent $9,800 in the last 12 months alone. And yet, to them, I was still the bitter, selfish brother who never smiled in family photos. The worst part? I wasn't even surprised anymore. A few weeks ago, I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I came by the house unannounced to drop off some groceries and heard laughter from the kitchen. "He's so uptight," Olivia said. "You'd think paying a few bills made him king of the world," Mom added. "He's probably just lonely," Dad chimed in. "He works too much, all that money and no one to spend it on." "At least he's good for something," Olivia said. "I'd cry if I had her life." So, when I told everyone I was going to start paying for my own internet, they all just cracked up. I was standing there on the porch, totally frozen, with my hands full of grocery bags. Not a single one of them noticed I was there. I just turned around and took off without a word. That night, I pulled the plug on their autopay for Netflix and Disney+. The next day, Olivia messaged me, asking if the Wi-Fi was acting up or if I'd simply forgotten to pay, yet again. I just ignored her. But honestly, the real turning point happened like 2 months back. I was trying to move some money around in my bank account and saw all these Apple Pay charges I didn't recognize. We're talking about a new MacBook, some wellness retreat, subscriptions, fancy clothes, everything billed to the card I'd given to my mom just for emergencies. I called her up right away. "Did you buy a MacBook?" I asked. She casually says, "Oh, that was for Olivia. She needed it for work. And the retreat, well, she was having a tough time. Honestly, she was crying every night. All funded by my money, of course." Then, she got kind of quiet and said, "You make more money than all of us put together. It's not like you can't afford it." I was speechless and just hung up. For days, I was torn about whether I should confront them. But then, I remembered something Olivia said at Thanksgiving: "We all have our roles. Mine is to be fabulous, and yours is to pay for the turkey." Everyone laughed then, and I just forced a smile, swallowing my pride. Now, even looking at a turkey makes me want to scream. Easter was around the corner and, as usual, I went all out: gifts for the kids, time off work, even brunch plans. A week before Easter, Mom texts me, "Hey sweetie, can you make sure the utilities are sorted before the weekend? Olivia's hosting an egg hunt." I didn't reply, but yeah, I paid $385 so they'd be cozy. And gratitude? Zero. Easter finally came around. I show up with wine and chocolates only to find the door shut in my face. "You're not welcome this Easter," my mom said, with Olivia making sure I heard it from inside. "It's just better without the moodiness. Let's keep it light this year," she added. Okay, they wanted light? I gave them darkness, literally. No electricity, no water, no internet. I sat in my car and watched their place go dark, porch lights out, sprinklers stopped. Olivia came bursting out 5 minutes later, phone waving like she was about to battle someone. "What did you do?" she screamed. I rolled down my window and just said, "Enjoy Easter the way you wanted, without me," and drove off. It finally hit me: sometimes to heal, you've got to cut off what's causing the pain. Before I even got home, the calls started. First Mom, then Dad, then Olivia, over and over. My phone buzzed so much it almost fell off the seat. I ignored them all until one message from Dad made me laugh out loud. "You're being dramatic. Come back and fix this." Fix what? Their water? Their internet? Their idea of a functional family? No, thanks. Then, they showed up at my place a couple of hours later. I heard the knocking but stayed put. Let them stew in it for once. But then, shouting. "You're seriously ignoring your own mother on Easter? Open the door or we're calling the police," Olivia yelled, calling it abuse. I opened the door as she was about to knock again, and she almost fell inside. "Get in," I said, flatly. "But if any of you raise your voice, I'm calling the cops myself." They came in like a whirlwind, Mom crying, Dad pacing, Olivia yelling, "You think this is funny? We had guests, children. How do you explain to a 5-year-old why the bathroom doesn't flush?" "Oh, you just let them know their aunt and uncle expect me to pay for everything," I replied. Boom. Silence. Mom gasped, Olivia's eyes widened, Dad clenched his fists. "How dare you speak to your family like that," my mom snapped. "Family? Really? The same family that told me not to come because I ruined the vibe? The same family that jokes about how useful I am behind my back, using my money like an endless fountain?" Dad moved closer, saying, "You're overreacting," I said, "No, I'm done reacting. I'm finally acting." Olivia folded her arms and said, "You think cutting off utilities makes you powerful?" I said, "No, it makes me free." She scoffed, "You're being ridiculous. You've always had this martyr complex, wanting applause for paying bills." I said, "Oh, you mean the $9,800 I spent last year? The money for your heating, your Zoom therapy, your new iPhone, and your business trip to Paris that was actually a spa week in Palm Springs? Her face went pale. You went through my stuff? You used my credit card for the plane ticket. I get the statements, genius. Dad tried to change the subject. Okay, look, we've obviously made some mistakes, some. I cut him off. Dad, you told me to my face that I had no place. We were all sitting around the table when someone said Olivia deserved more help because she had a future ahead of her. You looked me straight in the eye and commented that I was mad. Quietly, he said no. I replied that I was just being honest for once. Mom tried reaching out, saying, "Sweetheart, please, we're family. Can we just hit a reset button and undo what happened?" I shot back coldly, "No, because it wasn't just this Easter that you shut me out. You've been doing it for years. You take what you need, but the minute I say no, I'm the bad guy." Olivia was fuming, her anger shifting to a quiet rage. She hissed, "You'll regret this. Cutting us off won't make you feel better. You'll end up alone." I shrugged it off, saying, "Good. Alone is better than being drained dry by people who smile at me and then badmouth me the moment I leave." The room fell into thick silence, the kind that practically buzzed with tension. Eventually, I stood up and said calmly, "Here's what's going to happen. You'll figure out another way to pay for stuff like utilities. Get the car lease out of my name within 30 days. Stop using my Netflix, Spotify, and Amazon Prime accounts. If you don't, I'll shut them down for good." Dad started to protest, and I cut him off with, "Try me." I looked at Mom and added, "If you ever guilt trip me again with this you're our son stuff, remember, sons deserve love, not a list of things they owe you." Mom started to cry, Dad looked away, and Olivia stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame went crooked. I didn't care. I didn't follow or try to fix anything. For the first time, I didn't try to make it right. I closed the door, locked it, and felt like I had finally won my own little war. After that, silence. No calls, no texts, no one pounding on my door. It was like they all decided I was invisible. And you know what? It felt amazing. For the first time in years, I woke up without that nagging pressure in my chest whispering, "What do they need from you today?" No more checking my bank app to make sure I could cover their latest emergency. No more pretending to enjoy family group chats where they shared memes while ignoring my messages. No more guilt-ridden holidays where I bought everyone gifts and got socks in return. I was free, and the quiet was incredible. I started sleeping better, eating better, living better. I picked up a cheap guitar and began teaching myself some chords. I reconnected with college friends I hadn't seen in years. I even signed up for a photography class, just because I wanted to. Every penny I earned went toward my own rent, my groceries, my future. At first, it felt selfish. Then it felt fair. Then it felt right. About a week later, Olivia posted a dramatic Instagram story rant, black background, white text, classic passive-aggressive drama. Something about how some people will leave you when you need them most, but God sees everything, and karma is real. I didn't reply, but I screenshot it for kicks. A few days later, Dad called. I let it ring until voicemail kicked in. His message went something like this: "Hey, your mom's upset, Olivia might sell her car. I don't know why you're doing this, but it's gone too far. We're family. Call us." I didn't call. Instead, I emailed Olivia the car lease transfer forms with a 14-day deadline and the subject line, "You're welcome." Then out of nowhere, Kelly, my cousin's wife, reached out. She was at the Easter showdown, standing quietly in the background as everything went down. She messaged me late one night saying, "I know this might be weird, but I just wanted to say thank you. I've never seen anyone in this family stand up for themselves like that. Honestly, it made me realize a lot about how they treat people. You didn't deserve that. I hope you're doing okay." I stared at the message for a while, shocked that someone actually saw me. I wrote back, "I'm better than okay for the first time in a long time." But peace doesn't last long in my family. 2 weeks later, I found a letter taped to my apartment door. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note from Mom. It started with, "We raised you better than this," and ended with, "You'll always be our son, even if you've forgotten what that means." I folded it, tossed it in the trash, and went out for tacos. Because here's the thing they'll never understand, I didn't forget what family means. They never knew. They thought love was about control, money meant obedience, and silence was agreement. They believed sacrificing yourself was proof of loyalty. But I finally knew better. Now, I walk into my own apartment, and it's quiet, not because I'm not wanted, but because I want the peace. I light a candle, put on some music, sit by the window, and just breathe. No one's waiting for me to fail. So, there's this moment when I finally asked for a wire transfer, and for the first time, I swear, I didn't feel like just a backup in someone else's story. I felt like the main character in mine. What's crazy is that when I told my family I was out, wanting to do my own thing, the world didn't end. No dramatic sky splitting or thunderbolts of regret, just silence and this new sense of freedom. For someone like me, who spent years being the good son, that silence was everything but empty. It felt peaceful. It wasn't me feeling lonely, just enjoying the kind of quiet where you can hear your own thoughts again. I hadn't heard mine in forever. Every morning used to be this mad dash to figure out who needed saving that day. Was it mom needing $300 for gas? Olivia's bank issue right before her big concert? Or dad's credit card that I couldn't let go late? Every yes made me feel smaller. They didn't even ask, they just expected. They made jokes about it. I was invisible, just a tool they used, and I let it happen because I genuinely thought that's what love felt like. Suffocating and demanding. I thought being needed was the same as being wanted, but they're worlds apart. Being used isn't the same as being loved. It took me slamming that one door and making a clean break to finally see it. After Easter, the messages stopped. No more threats or guilt trips disguised as gifts. It was like I had vanished, but that was okay because it gave me a fresh perspective on my own life. I started asking questions I never got the chance to before. Stuff like, what do I want? And who am I when I'm not their savior? And you know what? I found space to breathe, genuine joy. I learned to cook, not just cereal or whatever. I started jamming at local music sessions and even writing poetry and stories. I was discovering this whole person beneath all the guilt. Then, one night, completely by chance, I bumped into Rachel at a bookstore. She was someone I knew back in college, and she seemed different, happier, lighter. We grabbed coffee and talked for ages. At one point, she asked if I was still close to my family. I paused, and really for the first time, I said without flinching, no, I cut them off. She blinked, then just said, good. I laughed because I wasn't expecting that. Most people stare like I admitted to some major crime. But Rachel got it. We talked about setting boundaries and healing and finally putting yourself first without feeling guilty. Walking home that night, I realized I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding, and it felt right. Weeks turned into months, and I noticed little things that meant the world. I didn't jump when my phone rang. I wasn't terrified to check my bank account. I wasn't stalking Olivia's social media for the next insult. One day, out of nowhere, I laughed at a meme a friend sent, and it struck me, I was genuinely happy. Not because something amazing happened, but because nothing was draining me anymore. I wasn't just a crutch for someone else, I was just me, alive and awake. Then, the twist. I got a voicemail from Mom. Her voice was soft and kind of shaky. Hi sweetheart, just checking in. Olivia's been having a tough time, and it's different here without you. I know you're angry, and we made mistakes, but you're still our son. We love you. I miss you. I listened twice, no tears, no tugging at my heart, no rage. Just a sense of being done. And it wasn't cold, it felt warm, like finally standing in the sunshine after years in the shadow. So, here's what I've learned, saying no doesn't make you a bad person. Setting boundaries isn't harsh, and walking away from toxic situations, even if it's family, isn't betrayal, it's survival. Sure, maybe they curse my name at dinner and twist the story to make me the villain. Let them. They're not part of my life anymore, and that's okay because my life is mine now. If you're reading this and you're sick of being the one who always gives, forgives, and sacrifices while people laugh behind your back, let me be your proof. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to choose yourself. And if they ever say you're not welcome, just say, good, I didn't come to be welcomed. I came to stop bleeding. Then stand tall, walk out free, and never look back. Peace isn't something others give you, it's what you reclaim when you finally have enough. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.